Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Pages to Pixels podcast,
where we cover a new movie every week.
I'm Rohan.
I'm Kirtana.
I'm Kevin.
And today we're talking about Cuckoo.
Anora.
Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
My favorite movie of all time, Rear Window, directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Today we're talking about Us 3.
Jigra.
Talking about The Wild Robot.
Megalopolis.
The hit show House of the Dragon.
My favorite cameo is Henry Cavill as Wolverine. I think it was really funny that, well, one, he's been a fan cast for a while. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that in one of the worlds it's not Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
And I also loved Deadpool's little dig where he's like, hey, don't worry, come here. We'll treat you better than the guys down the street.
Yep.
I feel like Coppola knew this movie was not going to make money, but he wanted to make it anyway. So that just begs the question, like, is it really a flop? Like, if the end goal was not to make money and just to make a good quality art.
Yeah.
It's a popcorn bucket. This is probably the best popcorn bucket so far. I like this more than the Dune one. I like it more than the
I think there have been some cool
Deadpool
ones.
Wolverine one.
Yeah.
It even lights up. I don't know how it looks on camera, but
No, it's very cool.
and if it's dark enough, it will create the bat symbol. I also want to bring up the idea of rewarding patience, because if you're going to pace something slow and you're going to ask the audience to be patient, you have to reward it at the end. If you look at Game of Thrones history, it's always been, the finale has usually always been set up for the next season. And I know everyone's complaining like, hey, well, they just made a finale that's a long trailer for season 3. True, but that's
kind of what they do.
Always been Game of Thrones. The big action set piece is always in the episode before. And we kind of had that. Well, we did have one with the dragons or eating everyone and burning people, and it was like, don't get me wrong, it was a crazy scene.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was a scene that was all carnage.
Yeah.
It wasn't a scene that was
Conflict
and character driven, like a Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
was. And that's why Battle of the Bastards did reward the patience
Yeah.
that people had for that season, because it felt like a release, both in terms of you get the big action sequence, but also the emotional catharsis.
Yes.
Didn't get that with the dragon sequence, in my opinion.
In which apartment does Hitchcock make his cameo appearance?
Oh, that's in the musician's apartment.
Yeah.
He's in the scene, he's near the piano, and he turns around, he's like playing, he's like that.
I thought the scenes were constructed really well from like a filmmaking point of view. I think if I had to pick, I would say the one in which the police officer got killed.
Okay.
This was way towards the end. The reason that worked for me was because the elements of a good thriller were in full play. We knew who these characters were.
Yep.
So basically, for a thriller to be like effective, the audience needs to know a little more information than the character. That's kind of what pushes you towards the edge of your seat. That was there. We knew who those three men were. We knew that his life was in danger. And I mean, it was, and they killed him with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And a knife. But no, so that scene, like, it terrified me because the moment the car pulled up in front of him, I was like, he's gone.
Which bat said that?
Oh my god.
Good grammar is essential, Robin.
I'm gonna guess this is like a really old
Yeah, I'm gonna say Adam West, but I don't know. Okay.
Yes, it
It
is.
just feels like an Adam West thing.
We can give half a point to both of you since Kirsten did say the old one.
There's probably a lot of pretentious people like me who are probably upset that the film doesn't look just like the original Wizard of Oz in terms of dress and stuff. And I feel like I would disagree with those people, because I feel like now, I want to give people who are working today their own stylistic freedom, but also I feel like it's just so dated. I mean, I don't think that them looking like that would really make sense. I like that they kind of look more Broadway. I think they look like characters that fit in this world, and I like that they kept that consistent. So I think that was the strongest element for me.
Here's one. The world only makes sense if you force it to.
Ben Affleck.
It's just nice. It's nice because I think it gives us, the audience, another alternate path to root for. Because I think if that Igor little romance line wasn't present, then it would have felt like a very grim story where Vanya was her only hope, or like was her only hope at like love, I guess. And he was being taken away from her. So it would have been very easy to feed into that despair. Instead, we now start thinking, well, this guy is like so much better. Like, go for him. So I think it gave us another little thing to root for. And I thought that was really cool.
So I'm gonna give you 2 horror tropes. You gotta tell me which one is worse: a loud jump scare or a false jump scare, like when a cat runs out after a character's looking around.
I think both of them suck. But also, I think a jump scare is scary.
The false jump scares annoy me more if they have like the musical note to enhance it. If it is setting something up, and for example, it is the cat running out, but there's no musical note, it doesn't bother me as much.
I'm waiting for Rohan to.
And you can call me V.
My favorite scene was when Jenna Ortega finds out that she was making out with a ghost.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it worked really well. I think one beat before the making out,
Yeah.
he says something where he's like, oh, like I'm like this character from this film or whatever. And it's a really old film. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then they just kind of brush past it and the conversation goes on. So when I was watching it, I was like, something's up. But before I could like put anything together, they revealed it. And I thought it was really smart.
Alright, let's move on to score.
This time we use the script coverage scale of pass, consider, and recommend. What that means is pass is when we don't think the movie is all that great, consider is when we think it's decent, and recommend when we think it's genuinely great. As a reminder, this is not a recommendation, it's just the score.
Solid recommend.
Easy recommend.
Very strong consider.
Yeah, this is a strong recommend.
Very, very weak consider.
Give it a consider.
Would give this a pass.
Give it a consider.
Strong recommend.
A strong recommend for me also.
Recommend.
An easy recommend for me.
A weak consider.
Personally, I'm going to give this a pass.
Like a weak consider. No,
Really?
Okay. No, I would say recommend. It's a very strong recommend.
Yeah, a recommend for me as well.
Yeah.